What it do, Washington Commanders Nation? Night one of the NFL draft is now concluded, and we're moving on to night two. Washington stuck and picked at number 29, and they selected Josh Conerly Jr. out of Oregon, and it threw a lot of people off. After digesting and sitting with the pick, it only took us about like 5 or 10 minutes to realize it's a good pick. It's a meat and potatoes. It's a vegetables pick. Sometimes you got to get what you need instead of what you want. And Adam Peters has shown the propensity to do what he wants rather than go with the consensus, go with fan preference, or any of the popular names and picks at said positions of need and the guys that we wanted for the team. Welcome Josh Conerly Jr. to the Washington Commanders. 21-year-old, 21 until late November this year. A guy that's blocked for Dylan Gabriel and Bo Nix in Oregon's program. Only allowed 2 sacks over his 3 years, where he started a little bit over a season there, and only allowed 9 pressures this year. Was the best offensive lineman at the Senior Bowl this year, minus getting the teach tape by Mike Green, where he was making him look a little crazy on a rep or two. But he's played against good football players, a guy in Abdul Carter, who he's going to see in the division because the New York Giants drafted him, as well as getting a quarterback. We'll talk about what the NFC East did in the first round of the draft in just a second. But Josh Conerly Jr. was Washington's pick at 29. And per usual, me and the group chat boys had a visceral reaction. And we reacted in real time. We gave you raw reactions. We never got to fake it, never got to pretend it. The board looked a certain way when we made the pick, so don't come for me because we were a little upset initially at the pick. This is what the board was looking like. Bro, Will Johnson on the board, Mike Green on the board, Nick Emanwari on the board, Nick Scorton on the board, Donovan Ezaraku on the board, Trey Amos on the board, Luther Burton, Travion Henderson, Siobhan Revel, Xavier Watts, Trey Harris, etc. That is what the board looked like when Washington was up at 29. But let's talk about the pick. Josh Conerly Jr. with the selection of a right tackle, and yes, he will not be playing guard for us. He will be playing for right tackle. Washington has now bolstered and solidified and put a cherry on top of its offensive line. Now that we've got our little reactions out of the way, I immediately regret how we reacted to, not regret. I don't regret things that we do. We're having a good time. We're 8 deep in Jaden Daniels jerseys, and we watched a hella players that we did not expect on the board to be there. I'm not apologizing for how I react to a pick. It'd be like that. I'm a fan. Fan is short for fanatic. We're a bunch of fanatics, and we do this shit every year at the draft party. We're going to react a certain way. We're all feeding off each other's energy and camaraderie. Sue me for it. But welcome Josh Conerly Jr. with the addition of Laramie Tunzel. We've answered the age-long question of where does Brandon Coleman play? You are now a GAARRRRRRD. Guard. Word to Jay Gruden when we drafted Brandon Sheriff. Brandon Coleman, you are now a guard. Are you going to have to fill in at right guard for a little bit, or are they going to throw Allegretti over there while Cosme heals from his knee injury? So left to right, the offensive line currently looks like Laramie Tunzel, Nick Allegretti or Brandon Coleman, Tyler Biotish, Sam Cosby when he's healthy, and Josh Conerly Jr. You did not select this guy to play guard for your football team. Cowboys took a guard at 12. Not the point right now. We didn't draft Josh Conerly to be a guard. We drafted him to be a tackle. And he played left tackle at Oregon, meaning that when it's time for Laramie Tunzel to piece the fuck out, he slides naturally into that left tackle spot. And while there's certainly maybe some depth questions at a couple of the positions, I think the offensive line is good to go. And they've made it very clear and apparent that the number one task of this organization is to protect the investment. While my reaction with my boys tonight might not have said so, I've said throughout the draft process on this channel, if you've watched it, that you're not going to have to oversell me on protecting Jaden or giving him weapons. While I did not react that way when we made the pick, I totally understand the pick. Josh Conerly Jr. is a good player. Would I have went with Josh Simmons over him? Well, at least Josh Conerly is coming not off of an injury. Bleh. Josh Conerly's not coming off an injury like Josh Simmons is coming off an injury. He's healthy. He's ready to go. He's plug and play. And that offensive line has two bookends at the tackle position going forward. We're still going to have to extend and give some money to Laramie Tunsil, but number 5 and our built like a tree branch as franchise elite quarterback should be protected for at least a minimum of his rookie contract and a little bit past it at this point. And I totally understand Adam Peters and them for doing that. When it goes back to fans and our preference and media consensus, pundits and draft extraordinaires, Adam Peters don't care about none of that shit. So what we have to do is pay attention to the guys that they interview, because they met with Josh Conerly at the Senior Bowl. They met with him at the Combine, and he came on the Top Draft, the Top Golf Washington Commanders Invitational Job Fair that they do annually now. Pay attention to the guys that they meet with. And after drafting tackle now, they've shown you they're going to follow their board. They're going to go best player available, and they will figure out the other positions later in the draft. We next pick at 61. We next pick at number 61 in this class. And while it's fun to hop straight into the mock draft simulator, while it's fun to start messing around and guessing what we're going to do, we might as well sit the fuck back and relax at this point, because we don't know how this team's going to operate. Nobody knows how this team is going to operate at this point. So let's sit back, relax, and let Adam Peters and them cook. But I'm sorry, our reaction was fucking hilarious tonight. I'm sorry, bro. We had a good ass time. Mike Green was on the board. Donovan Ezaraku, Will Johnson. Like, the board is super stacked. There is still hella talent on the board for the Washington Commanders going forward, but I totally understand the Josh Conerly pick, and I have high expectations for Josh Conerly going forward. And not to give myself too much credit, but in my video I released the other day, a couple days prior to the draft, in my top 5 realistic picks for Washington, Josh Conerly came at number 4 or 5 on that list. I don't remember what the number it was. I think it might have been he was 3, 4, or 5 on my list of most realistic options for the team. I have to go back and check that, but welcome to the squad, bro. Welcome to the squad. Babyface assassin. Josh Conerly looked 14 years old in the face. Won't be turning 22 years old till around late November. We got ourselves a right tackle. We got ourselves a left tackle. We got ourselves a Deebo Samuel. They are going to follow their board, and they don't care what you and I think about it. We got ourselves an offensive line now. We were at least a middle of the pack offensive line in the league last year, with some apparent holes at a couple spots and a couple guys playing out of place. Now, the offensive line is one of the strengths of the football team, and the big uglies in the trenches are very important in the game of football. So don't let any of our initial reactions deter you from the fact that this team got better tonight, and this team is doing everything it can to protect Jaden Daniels. You know, they're doing it, man. They're doing it. The Chicago Bears made a bunch of moves this season so they don't get Caleb Williams' brain knocked in. Our line was all right last year, and we added Laramie Tunsil and Josh Conerly Jr. to it. So can't really get mad at that, man. I will see y'all tomorrow for day 2 of the NFL draft. Washington's on the board at 61. Do we stick and pick at 61? Do we trade back so we can add multiple picks on day 2? Maybe we could pick twice in the 3rd round. Maybe we could pick twice in the 4th round and just move back a little bit in the 3rd. Are we going to start to play trade roulette, or do we just stick and pick and leave this draft with 5 picks, but 5 picks we could be proud of, that we think could be immediate contributors and producers for this football team? We're going to see. But all in all, I'm going to grade this pick a B. This is a B grade pick. It's not sexy. It's nothing to do a backflip over. In the excitement of the draft, it can feel underwhelming, but sometimes those underwhelming things are the best things for your organization. And I have full trust in Adam Peters, Lance Newmark, and company going forward. But all I ask you as we leave this draft is to somehow draft me somebody who can get to a fucking quarterback and draft me a running back. That's all I want through the duration of this draft. At some point, get me a running back, and some point, get me an edge. At some point tomorrow, when we get up, we're probably going to go do a little draft day 2 breakfast brunch type situation. And we're going to probably record a best players available type situation. We're going to see. We're going to see how all of this goes. So talk to y'all soon, man. Talk to y'all soon. We're going to get back after it, and we'll be live on the Commanders Kings channel tomorrow between me, Lou, Rico, and Ed Oliver. Once again, welcome to Josh Conerly. And congratulations, Adam Peters, on making another pick and doing it your way. And fuck what any of us have to say. Talk to y'all tomorrow, man. Hail to the Washington Commanders. Let's get better.